You guys, it's here. It arrived today and I'm so excited. My very first, my very own, very, very personal, very precious project. My, I don't know how to call it, tarot deck, tarot oracle deck, tarot prompt deck. I'm not sure. I don't know what to call this thing. It's a hybrid. It's major arcana cards and 35 prompt cards, keywords, questions. I don't know. It's a thing I made and I want to show you. If you're new here, welcome. My name is Petra. If you're a returning viewer, thank you for stopping by again and listening to me ramble about the things I hyperfixate over. And let's take a look. If you have no idea what I'm talking about, a video I posted a week ago on my YouTube channel is the one where you can get more in depth and see the project I've been working on since, I don't know, like it started 2 months ago, but it was basically created in 2 periods of major hyperfixation and in a matter of a couple of days. But in short, I had this idea, urge, passion, and joy in creating my very own hand-drawn major arcana deck, which you can see here. These are all in colored pencil. And as I basically destroyed the cardstock while processing it with gesso and then colored pencil and drawing all these things, I realized I will have to get them actually printed in order to be able to use them, because this has no fixative and the cardstock is, well, you can see what it's like. And during that process of scanning them and uploading them to Make Playing Cards, that's a print-on-demand service, I expanded the idea with 35 extra cards that contain a keyword and a prompt in the form of a question, which can be used for journaling, for self-reflection, or for creating your own unique tarot spread, maybe. But I think this will all have a lot more sense when I actually show you the cards and talk a little bit about how I imagined this toolbox to be used. Oh, okay, a magical toolbox. That's what we're gonna call them. That's the thing I named this deck. But yes, it's a deck of cards. Make Playing Cards is so cool because they offer this possibility to get your deck printed and put into this tin box. And the customizable option is amazing, because whichever picture you choose to put on the tin is not a sticker. It's actually kind of etched and printed onto the tin. And I'm not sure if the texture is gonna show, but it's a really, really pleasant, like rough texture, and the colors look really good. I was very pleasantly surprised in which way the colors translated to the cards and the tin. So this is a standard tarot size, 12 by 7 centimeters, if I'm not wrong. That's the standard one. And here are the cards. This box actually looks a little bit empty, and it has more space because here we have 22 major arcana and 35 prompt cards and this title card. So in total that's 35, 22, 50, 58 cards. A usual tarot deck has 78 cards because you have your 22 of the major arcana, the main huge archetypes, and you have other cards that are the minor arcana, aces, 2 to 10, and then you have your page, your knight, your queen, and your king usually. So that's where you get to the bigger, more thick decks. For this magical toolbox, I decided to omit the major arcana at this time. I wanted the focus to be on the major arcana archetypes. They are kind of in the center of my recent studies over the past year. And I have been so focused on understanding their stories, their energy, their historical and philosophical connotations and correlations. It's just a hyperfixation thing. I was mainly focused on them, and this is why I decided to do them, but maybe do them first. I don't know. So minors are not here. They are not in the picture. If you are familiar with tarot, you know the structure of a standard tarot deck. No minors here. Majors only. But let's all get distracted by this edge foiling because I'm distracted. I chose the rainbow holographic. It's like unicorn vomit. Beautiful etching. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm very pleasantly surprised. I have had decks from Make Playing Cards in different cardstocks, but I have never had one that is edged or that has any kind of gilding. And I can tell you I'm very pleasantly surprised because this one, it's not sharp. None of the cards was sticking, or none of the cards was like, sometimes when you get gilding, the cards, you need to separate them because a little bit of the sticky gilding connects to cards, and then you get chipping and the foil gets destroyed in a way when you do that. This was not the case. I took this out of the box and nothing, no sticking. The cardstock. I chose a linen cardstock, a linen finish, and I really hope this will be visible. I'll try to catch the light. But this kind of linen, it looks like canvas to me, and that's why I chose it. The texture is very smooth and the cards are a little bit slippery, as you can see here. That's a really good thing for fanning, if you like fanning your cards, and for riffle shuffling. I'm a big riffle shuffle fan. But also the texture is very pleasant. I believe that this kind of linen finish from Make Playing Cards is called BGM linen, and it has a blue core. And I really enjoyed the texture on some samples I saw, so that's why I chose it. I basically chose my favorite cardstock. Linen cardstock, thinner cards, and not big kind of relief on the cards, not really bumpy or geometrically symmetrical. This is kind of an irregular pattern and reminds me of canvas. Okay, technicalities aside, these are the backs. I drew the elements by hand and I made this kind of symmetrical composition in Procreate, just so they are kind of reversible. I don't use reversals, and I think when you look at the star, it's kind of not symmetrical, so I don't know. I consider this a reversible back. So that's the backs, but let's get into the cards. Show us the cards. What do you have here? What do I have here? I have a deck that's upside down. Okay, the title card. I tried to put in very little words because this doesn't have a guidebook for now. I'm actually working on it, on a little PDF pamphlet zine thing. I want to keep it short, minimal, sweet, and concise. But as this does not have any kind of formal guidebook at the moment, I wanted to just put a couple of words that can give you an impression what's this all about. So in this one deck, there are actually two decks. One is called hereeeee, and those are the major arcana tarot cards. And you can use them as you would use any other tarot deck in the world. Any other majors only. The second part are the cards that are called Journal Me, because they are journaling prompts, but they are also spread creator cards. You can shuffle the cards, pull one card or more cards, and journal about the question. It's a deck of journaling prompts. So if you want to find extra inspiration, or maybe find a hot topic that maybe inspires you or triggers you and you want to journal about it, you choose one card and you're good to go. But you can also use these cards to create your unique tarot spreads. So what's a tarot spread? I believe that most of the people that work with tarot in any way are familiar with the Celtic cross, or maybe some, shadow work spreads or readings related to self-reflection. And those are basically structures that tell you in which way to position the cards and which question is connected to a certain card. And if a tarot spread has 3 questions, 1, 2, 3, each card answers that specific question, or maybe the story of the archetype in that card can give you a perspective through which you can view your question, and maybe that way come to some additional insights, maybe give you a perspective you did not consider or would not come around to look at it that way. Now that's how I see tarot. This is my personal experience with tarot cards. This is my personal, intimate work with archetypes. I am not saying that everybody uses the cards that way, or that anybody sees the archetypes the way I see it, but that's the beauty of archetypes and symbols. It can mean one thing for me, another thing for you, and they are both valid. And also, with the tarot cards, we can all use them in a million other ways, and we will all get value out of that use. And I think that's wonderful. So now that we have concluded that the deck is made actually from 2 parts, we will separate the 2 parts. These are the major arcana cards. This is the title card. These are the prompt cards, 35. What are we gonna look at first? Okay, let's look at the major arcana because they're so happy and colorful, and I drew them. And the thing I want to emphasize is this was a work of pure joy. Pure, just unlimited, uncorrected, unguided joy. There was no sketch on the card. I did everything freehand. There was no eraser. There was no correction tape. There was no, I don't know what to say. I just did it. I chose a card. I looked at my thumbnail with the general idea. I sketched out the shapes with those micron pens, inking pens, and I chose the colors out of a pile of, 10 or something pencil crayons that I chose beforehand. I had a limited palette, and the rule was I had to love the colors, so basically 10 of my favorite colors, and I just went in and in and in, and some days I made 5 cards. One day I think I made 10. The other days I did 2. This was done from Monday to Friday. So 5 days. And those are the days that I actually also worked. I have a full-time job. So you can imagine that I did nothing else those 5 days. I worked, I ate basically what my husband served me because I was so distracted. I drew, and on Friday I finished and I said to him, okay, now I can relax. I have never had an experience like that in my life. I have my points of hyper focus and joy and creating from the pure joy of creating, but this was something else. Okay, now that that's out of the system, one more thing. The only rule I had for creating these cards, it had to make me happy. It didn't matter how it turned out. It didn't matter which color is where, or if that shape is, I don't know, this way or that way. I had to enjoy making them and love the process. And I can confirm from my heart, I loved every second of it. Every time that pencil touched this paper, I was happy. And now let's look how they turned out printed, because that's why we're here, and I'm blabbering for 15 minutes already. Okay. The Fool. I wanted a foolish lady to jump into the dandelions. So we have that. I don't know what I'm gonna talk to you about now because I know these cards in my soul, but I don't know, let's just get through them. I love how the colors turned out because they're really vibrant. I was afraid I would lose a lot of vibrancy in the printing process, but that didn't happen and I'm happy. Okay, this is the Magician, and this is basically your magical toolbox. You have the elements here. You have the pentacle, you have the cup, you have your sword, and you have your wand. These are the 4 elements or 4 suits in the tarot. If we had minors, they would be connected to those elements. And what I wanted to convey here is someone giving, someone receiving, or the other way around. A magical toolbox is something you can have and use, but you can also share. And these are elements of, I don't know how to say it. They are for all of us. They are common. They are shared resources. Oh yes, one more thing. For the part of you that has dabbled into tarot or some of that stuff, you may notice I have or zodiacal or planetary symbols or elemental symbols on each card that is relevant to the archetype. So that can be maybe beneficial for those who use this kind of correlations in tarot. Okay, the High Priestess, I think I mentioned that in my last video. I wanted to draw me, well, that's not me, but a representation of me, and I'm actually here peeping through the curtains to the veil that is usually behind the High Priestess in the tarot card. So the High Priestess has the archetype and the card has its story, but I wanted to bring in an element of curiosity into the archetype. So that's why she is all down here and kind of peeking through that veil. We'll see, what do you have here? And yeah, that's the emotion I wanted to convey. This is the Empress and her swollen purple feet. She is resting and enjoying creation, like the creation part she did, and the creation part continues into eternity, but she is resting. Okay, the Emperor. I'm aware that this one looks a bit feminine, and the Emperor is usually portrayed as this masculine figure because it is a masculine archetype. But for some reason, I wanted to bring a little bit of softness to the Emperor, and I'm still discovering what that means to me. So this is what you get. This would be the Hierophant card. I went with the title Teacher because it's more in line with my view of the Hierophant. And we have these two hands, maybe a teacher and a student, holding a book, and you can see growth coming out of the pages. So that's something to maybe consider as a perspective, a possible perspective on the Hierophant archetype. The Lovers are usually beautiful cards with human figures in certain activities, or maybe getting married or kissing each other or displaying affection. I went with a more symbolic representation. So we have the moon and the sun being married. You can see it dark and the light. Something to consider. I don't want to maybe say too much about how I see the cards. I know why I made them the way I made them, but see, that's why I don't really want to make kind of a real guidebook for this. That's my perspective. I don't want to contaminate anyone else's, because the true value is what you see in the cards and how you explain to yourself why you see it. It's not a recipe. Oh, this card means that. That card means that. No. You will see the same card today and you will get one meaning from it. And in 5 years, you may get another meaning from it. It's contextual and it's in the eyes of the viewer. So I can give you a general overview, and you may know what generally the Chariot means, but I don't want to contaminate you with what I see now in the Chariot. I may also see something else in the Chariot in 2 weeks' time. So hope that makes sense. Okay, the Chariot. It's a bike. It's not moving. There's not a chariot. There are no sphinxes. There are no horses. But I can tell you that I wanted to emphasize that the Chariot, the vehicle, is not moving. So you make of that what you will. Okay, the Strength card, obviously one of my favorites because it's also on the cover of the tin. I don't know why the lady is green. I'm still not sure. I like the contrast, but the lady is green and they have the same haircut. So that was fun. The Hermit went with the representation without a human figure, without the actual hermit guy, but definitely wanted to emphasize the light coming out of his heart and shining through the darkness. And we have little nice moths here. Okay, Wheel of Fortune, pretty simple, but I'm happy because these guys are here, these creatures. And I really loved making these clouds with colored pencils. This was fun, and I have to do these effects more when I draw something. I like that. Okay, Justice. You usually see scales in Justice, or a lady with a sword, or something covering her eyes. None of that here. I wanted to reference the Egyptian myth of the goddess Maat and the weighing of the heart against a feather. Maybe look into that if you're not familiar. It's an interesting story, and I think it's this is nothing new. A lot of tarot decks use that analogy for the Justice archetype and for that mythology, that allegory. So it's nothing new, but this is my preference when it comes to representing Justice. Okay, the Hanged one, it's a mermaid and she's diving deeper. So the Hangman is usually, well, to put it in 2 or 3 words. Change of perspective. Sometimes you cannot change your circumstances. You cannot do anything, but you can always change your perspective. So it's a perspective shift. And I sometimes correlate mermaids and the sea and the waters with our subconscious and unconscious processes. She's diving deeper, so that's a start of a story. It could be a long story, but it could be a story that can lead you to some insights. Death. Okay. I think I really made things kind of connected to nature here, because you can see death as rebirth, regeneration, cycles, renewal. You can see that in any kind of different ways like that. For me, the nature and the natural cycles are one of the most gentle ways to portray the archetype of death and change. So that's what it is. We have a sunset, we have something rotting in the ground, we have falling leaves, but we also have flowers budding and a worm eating whatever is rotting inside, and cycles. Okay, temperance. I made this also really symbolic and maybe alchemical, because when it comes to the temperance card, I look at it from a really alchemical perspective. So that's what it is. The devil, I thought she would look scarier, but not really that scary. But I love the way her horns turned out. It's like she has those disco lights. And speaking of disco lights, I don't know why the couple... So the two usually scariest cards in the tarot are the devil and the tower, and I went with disco lights. So that's maybe something to look into, what I have against disco lights or disco or whatever. But this is the tower, and it's flashing and also tearing down certain walls, some maybe barriers, to make way for something new. It's still destructive. Okay, the star. The star is one of my favorite cards in any tarot deck, and one of the, well, maybe favorite archetypes, let's say, for many, many reasons. But what would I like to emphasize here? We have below, we have above. I was going for a kind of symmetry. Here's a star, but also below is a star. Closed eye, opened eye. I don't know, the creature with purple fur and green hair is in the magician pose. As above, so below. So I linked it that way because it makes sense to me. Hope it makes sense to someone else also. But this is the way I see my favorite card from the major arcana. The moon, also one of very loved ones. Again, a mermaid, because as I said, I relate mermaids and depths with our unconscious. They're like, if I wanted to put a fictional character in the place of my subconscious or unconscious processes, it would be a mermaid, and the place would be the depths. So I wanted to put that along with the moon, because it's all connected in my head, at least. Okay, the sun is a big, bright, smiling bulb of fire. And from the sun and in the rays contained all life and all life's experiences, like our ego. Judgment. Okay, I'm really proud of this one. I know it's simple, because they're all simple. They are like a child's drawing, and that's actually me complimenting myself because that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to do it like a kid. Just do it, not think about it, just have fun. But this one I'm particularly happy with and proud because the Judgment is such a scary card, and it's so like the angels and the dead guys coming out of the graves and rising up, and the guy, the angel, tooting that flute or what. I don't know, it was like always, ew. Ew, David. No, it was not my favorite. But I wanted to convey, I'm aware of the sentiment, but I wanted to convey it in a different way. So we have a dead guy reaching out with his hand, but he's like, help me, I need some help here. And the guy from above is like, no, don't worry, I gotcha. And we have the sun here, and the sun is, the sun rays are filled with love from above, love from below. I don't know. This is what I wanted to make it kid safe. I don't know. I wanted to bring it down a notch for myself. Okay, at the end, this is usually called the world card or the universe. I wanted to call it the cosmos because I'm not a native speaker of English, but in my mind, the cosmos is all-encompassing. It's bigger than, of course, the world, and it's like, it's larger. Can a word be larger? It encompasses even more than a universe or something. So the cosmos, everything from nothing. Those are the majors. I hope I didn't say anything silly. Okay, done the majors. 35 prompt cards. The anatomy is this: keyword, question, a little doodle. I drew this in Procreate. I had the list for some time. A couple of friends, very dear friends, helped me, not only with spell check and stuff like that, but also with insights of how to formulate a certain question, how to make it maybe more, how do I say that, open-ended. Yeah, I wanted open-ended questions, the kind of questions which you can take your journal out and write a lot, if possible. So I want to thank Barbara and Desiree and Isabel for checking out my prompts, and of course Andrea, and for their feedback, because they have helped. Once the questions were done, it was basically a matter of opening Procreate and putting down some color. For the color part, they are very colorful. And all I can tell you that I chose the colors with the help of a little synesthesia, because I read the word, I heard the word, and I just saw the color. That's something that my brain does sometimes, so I wanted to use that in the creation of this process. So there we have it. We can go through the prompt cards. Okay, a keyword and a question. For example, flow. What is it that carries me in my journey and allows me to be in a steady flow of creation? So one thing to keep in mind with these prompts, when I created them, I was thinking about a creative journey, like the journey I had when drawing out the cards of the major arcana. And each prompt was like a phase of that journey. I had the flow state, I had the initial passion, I had the exploration page, I experienced synchronicity, I wanted to express my authenticity, I also needed to rest, I felt the fire in my heart, I have set an intention, and so on and so on. So once I have done the major arcana cards and started creating the prompts, I sat down with an intention to write down 35 phases or states I found myself during this creative process. But the beautiful thing is, a lot of these cards can be used and looked at from outside of that context. So it doesn't have to be a creative journey. It could be any journey in your life or any state, because, for example, soul food. How did I feel the last time I felt empowered and strong in my practice? Whatever practice that is. Is it your yoga, your meditation, your journaling, your creative practice, your studies? What could help me nourish my practice now? So what's your soul food? Take out your journal and find out. Sparks. When in my life have I experienced glimmers of inspiration? In which way can I invite them to visit again? So basically, what inspires you? What lights that little fire inside your heart that tells you, oh, I got this great idea and I want to do this. I want to be creative in this way. There are also a couple of cards that are not so all sunshine and rainbows. For example, failure. How can I gently untie it from my intrinsic self-worth? I think success is somewhere in here. Let's find it, okay? If you notice this is not a mistake. All of the ladies that helped me asked me if this is a mistake because it's the same question, but it's not. How can I gently untie success and failure from my intrinsic self-worth? Got it? So it's the same question for both cards, because success and failure is not something that really needs to be tied to your self-worth. And I just saw that they kind of overlap here with the green and the yellow, and the blue turns purple. And this is not some this is actually not something I planned, that they would align in this way, but that's fun. Okay, so we have 35 of them. I think we're not gonna go through all of them, but I want you to get the flavor, and then I want to show you in which way you can use them together with the majors. Okay, maybe I will go through them like this, and if you're interested in any of the prompts, you can hit pause and read, and I don't know, I can sing you a song. No, I'm kidding, I'm not gonna sing. You're not gonna have a good time. Okay. This is a biggie. Limiting beliefs, procrastination. I did very little procrastination during this process, so that was different. I'm usually someone who enjoys procrastination, indulges in procrastination. But I guess I was really driven here. This contrast could be better, but it's actually, when I look at it at camera, it looks worse than it does in real life. Okay, change of plans, giving up, initiation, one of my favorites, the work, tension, fire in my heart or my hearth, two different things, rest, authenticity, synchronicity, exploration. I think we read through these. Passion, flow, touch grass. And I think we may have missed a few, just in case. Okay, we have errors. This is something I struggled with putting into words, and my friend Barbara helped me. Hi, she's from Croatia, and I called her Barbara. Barbara, she is called Barbara. Amateur, intuition, overthinking, responsibility. Okay, we saw these. So I hope you will agree with me when I say my inspiration for each and every of these keywords and prompts came from the phases and certain states I experienced during this creative project and many other creative projects I ever worked with. And I consider myself to be a creative, a creator, a creatrix. That sounds kind of nice. But the questions are open-ended, and I think maybe even all of them can be used in any other contexts. So we can explore. Okay, how did I imagine using this thing? As I said, shuffle the cards. This is my first time shuffling. I really like shuffling cards. It calms me down, and you are witnessing me just enjoying the swish, swoosh sound of the overhand. This is kind of thin for a riffle because these are the 35 cards, but let's give it a go. Ooh, it's good. The cardstock is on the thinner side, but it snaps back and it's very flexible, so I like that. And that riffle shuffle was very, very pleasant. Even if these are just the 35 cards, because you can see it's very flexible. It's little cards and thinner cards, but the shuffle is very pleasant. So now that we shuffled the prompts, we can lay down 3 questions, 3 random prompts we want to journal about or think about or meditate on. And we have used here the randomization of the shuffle. You do not have to use the randomness of a shuffle. You can intentionally pick one card. Today, I wanna meditate on my procrastination habits. Do it. Think about it. Meditate. Go on a walk. Process it. Journal about it. Or use the majors to maybe guide you with their allegory, with their story, with their archetypal energy, with their associations. Maybe they can guide you in a way to find a perspective shift from which you can observe your question or your potential problem that you're trying to resolve or integrate or just acknowledge. Oh God, I hope this makes sense because it does in my mind. Okay, for this example, we used the randomization of a shuffle. We chose 3 questions and we're gonna see what they are. First one is attention. What do I need to pay attention to right now? Okay, this is pretty straightforward. So the next one is, oh my God, we got the big one, the errors. Let's read it. I consider all my previous errors as little pebbles on my path that I may have stumbled upon, but they also taught me to walk with my eyes looking forward. Which one of those pebbles offered me the most valuable lesson? What would change if I were to look at my errors as teachers on my journey? Okay, this is actually really funny. It's something I talked about with my friend and colleague at work today. We were both moms with boys similar age, and we're trying to teach them that making a mistake at school and making errors is just another opportunity to learn something and maybe strengthen your existing knowledge to, I don't know, embrace making mistakes, because we all make them, but we can learn from them. So I'm curious to see what this will bring. And the last one is the process. What can I learn from participating in a process that is released from expectations of a particular outcome? Okay, this is a hard one actually. When I wrote it, I was aware that it's a hard question, because to engage in a process that is released from expectations of a particular outcome, I think it's the hardest thing in the universe to do. But let's imagine we did it, and what can we learn from it? Okay. So now we're here in this example, and we're using the randomization of a shuffle, and we're playing with a little bit of synchronicity, with allowing the cards to mingle and do their thing. We have no idea which card we're gonna pull, and that's a little bit of magic in this whole thing, because we are allowing just to see whatever comes up and allowing ourselves to consider whatever comes up. And in this case, we have 3 questions, three prompts. We want to, for example, journal. But we also want to ask the 22 major arcana archetypes if they can maybe guide us in that journaling and offer their own perspective on this question. So for the first question, let's see which archetypes comes out to play. Okay, the devil. What I need to pay attention to right now. So my first association would be the distractions. Oh, that's funny, attention distractions. So what I need to pay attention to right now. If this was about a creative journey, I would ask myself, okay, what is distracting me? Because the devil is the archetype of, well, it can be related to a lot of things like addictions and bad habits that keep us from maybe living our fullest potential. That's just one way of looking at it. That's our vulnerable side. But in this combination with attention, I think this card and these archetypes gives us the perspective and looking at distractions maybe playing a role in our project. So pay attention that some distraction or something that's maybe temporarily pleasant but not beneficial in the long run is not messing up your work and the thing you really intrinsically and authentically want to do. So okay, and then if I were to go into my journal, I will go in length about that. So let's see, what do we have about errors? So we wanted to, with this question, the question guides us to consider what are the benefits from looking at our errors as little teachers and little lessons. And we have the Hermit. That would be really interesting. A hermit is someone that brings light into the darkness and is also alone and kind of separated from others in order to get to his own conclusions. So that would be an interesting perspective to look at in correlation with errors, because it basically tells us to go our own way, and the mistakes or errors we do in our own path, we can shine our own light on it, and the lessons we learn are for ourselves and ours alone. A hermit is someone who seeks wisdom in his solitude and in his solitary path. So it's our path. There are our errors, and maybe here the archetype of the hermit is offering us a lesson to embrace our errors and gain some knowledge from them. Okay, I could actually write about that. That seems like a good combo for some creative writing and reflective writing. Okay, and the process is the chariot here. Okay, the process is a very difficult question. I was kind of debating, should I put it in the deck or not? It's very difficult because being in a process and releasing expectations of a particular outcome, it's so hard for me because every time I create, I really try to enjoy the process, and this whole project was the closest I ever came to that. There were so many little points of joy and sparks of flow states that, but I always had an expectation that I would have my cards that I drew. There was always that, not a particular outcome, but I'm always so, how could I say it? I'm attached to that end product. And the chariot, I often see the chariot as our body and actually a form that protects our soul or something like that. I have a really complicated relationship with the chariot card, and if this was something I pulled for myself in order to journal about it, I think I would actually struggle with this combination because tough question, tough card, and maybe it's just the invitation that I need to explore it more. Okay, thank you for joining me. This was really an exciting and fulfilling, I don't know, experience, sensation, and really something I enjoyed making and now enjoyed seeing come to life. It's actually quite surreal that I'm actually holding these printed cards in my hand, and I have to say Make Playing Cards did an amazing job. The cardstock is lovely, the colors are vibrant, the holographic rainbow edge is beautiful. I love how the box turned out. I'm just happy. I'm happy. To close out this video, I want to emphasize that this I have primarily made for myself and for my own private creative explorations of the tarot and the archetypes and my journaling practice, something to kind of, I really wanted to express this. And I am aware that this concept and the idea and the combinations of how you could use those cards will not be for everyone. But at the same time, if anyone finds something here that they feel connection to or feel intrigued by, want to explore, try out, this is available on Make Playing Cards. I did make the projects public and I will leave the links down below. I just want to explain why there are a couple of versions there. There is the full set. This is the full set. That's one version available. And it's actually the most expensive one because there's the tin and there's the holographic gilding. That actually raises the price up a lot. So the combo is available. The combo includes, as I said, the box, the major arcana cards, and prompts. So in total, what did we say? 58 cards, because you also get the title cards. And that's what you get. Make Playing Cards is a print-on-demand service. I am not selling these decks myself. You will not, if you decide to order something, you will not get mail from me. You will get mail from Make Playing Cards, a business that prints on demand of the customer. I have provided them with the designs. There's a website, you go on their website, you choose a design. There are many designs from many designers available there. And when you place an order, they print your cards, they make your box, they ship it. It usually comes in a matter of, 2 weeks. They have a quick turnaround time. And yeah, that's what you get. Other versions available. There is the Majors Only version. The Majors Only contains only the 22 major arcana. Same cardstock, but no box, no gilding. Just the 22 cards on the same linen cardstock. And the third version is only the prompts. So no box, no gilding, 35 journaling prompts. That's it. I wanted to upload those versions to be available also because I'm aware that, for one, a lot of people are not into tarot or this whole archetype and symbolic stuff. They're not interested, but I believe there are people out there who would maybe enjoy a deck of 35 journaling prompts and maybe pull a card daily and journal about what's on the card. So that's for them. And there is no gilding and no box because, for one, a box for 30 cards would be too big and it's expensive. So to bring the cost down, there is no gilding, no box. And the Majors Only is for the guys and girls and whoever likes majors and tarot and wants to play around with those 22 archetypes. So again, no gilding and no box. Costs are down because of it, because it's just the linen cardstock, color printed on both sides, and I wanted to make that available for anyone who is interested or maybe curious. And the links are down below. Check it out if you have any questions. The best way to reach me is through Instagram because that's where I'm most active. But you can also leave a message in the comments below. Of course, I will get back to you. I'm sorry if this was a little jumbled up or rushed, but it's my excitement and I'm like a little kid. I got this in and I was like, okay, I have to make a video now because I want to show everyone. And that's it. Let me know if there are any questions or what do you think? How it turned out. I'm really happy. And I'm gonna go play with my new deck of cards now. Thank you for watching and see you soon in some new creative adventure. Bye.